Yes, my name is Mado Ajaja. I am a Pan-Africanist, an activist, a writer, public speaker, a broadcaster, and the anchor of Nigeria Now at ONN and the Nightingale Radio International, and also convener of Open Nigeria and Africa Unite. I speak to Africans today, especially South Africans, about the compelling strategic need to elect a total African as the next president of South Africa. And without wasting a lot of time, I make mention of Mr. Julius Malema as a tool that could be deployed, that must be deployed by Africa and the African people to begin the actualization of the dream our founding fathers had about the emergence of a United States of Africa, which was stalled right after independence, when imperial forces started bringing their puppets, African European puppets, that started destabilizing serially and killing them through assassinations and coup d'etat to bring us where we are today. I lived in South Africa between 1994 and 1996, when the apartheid infrastructure was being taken down. Nelson Mandela was elected the South African first Black president. He played his part for 5 years that he was there and left as a stabilizer. But a lot of issues were begging for answers. And then Thabo Mbeki took over, a strategist. He did the best he could for nearly 10 years until he was toppled by Jacob Zuma. And then what seemed like the hope of Africa after Nigeria started dimming with corruption. To think the country where it is now, where they have started having problems with power distribution and other problems. Most painfully, what happened, the massacre that happened with the COVID-19 epidemic or pandemic. Nigeria, Africa, South Africa needs a new sense of direction. And of all the arrays of candidates that have presented themselves, one young man stands out. One young man respected across Africa stands out. And that man is Julius Malema. I don't care how and what people, especially some South Africans, think about him. Because before I made this video, I did something And some of the responses that came out of what I did were not encouraging at all. It makes me want to believe that there's something wrong with the mind of the black man, that they love their chains more than they love themselves and their destiny. Some people were saying that they were afraid of him because he was going to create a war in South Africa. War with who? I ask. War with who? War for demanding for justice for the majority of the neglected, criminally neglected South Africans? No. He's a man of justice that is going to be fair to all. Black, white, Chinese, Indians, and other people who come into South Africa. The South African mind must be opened for business. The South African mind should move beyond the era of fear. Somebody made a reference to what happened in Zimbabwe with Robert Mugabe. Yes, but Mugabe was a good man. He wasn't a bad man. All he did was demand justice for his people. And the imperial powers ganged up against him and made him look bad. And a great number of us believed them that he was bad because of a white minority that didn't want to share. Yes. So what is wrong with demanding for justice? How will that bring a war? When they took us into captivity for 400 years, heavens did not come down. The Arabs enslaved Africans for 700 years, castrated the males. Heavens did not come down. They stole our minds and made us look like whites and Arabs. Heavens did not come down. What Africa is suffering, the retardation Africa is suffering, is the consequence of the combination of these two evils: slavery, apartheid, colonialism, imperialism, and now globalization. At what point will the African man have the right to decide his own destiny? This is what Julius Malema is about. And this is the reason I, Smart Mado Ajaja, is putting my weight behind him and urging all Africans to line behind him. Share this message. Let it be a message that will go around the whole of Africa and put pressure on the doubting Thomases in South Africa so that they will do the right thing and not plunge themselves into a system that will make them look good and then suffer and smile like it is happening in Nigeria right now. South Africa has an opportunity to be that pathway to the total liberation of Africa through Julius Malema. Giving your vote, Africans. Giving your vote, South Africans.
Hey, good evening, Africans. My name is Smart Madu Ajaja. I am the anchor of Nigeria Now at ONN and the convener of Open Nigeria and Africa Unite. This message is for South Africans in particular and Africans in general. Our founding fathers had a vision for the emergence of a United States of Africa about 70 years ago, ahead of what they envisioned would be happening to Africa, just like they did. Everything that they talked about, everything, all the fears that they expressed at the time about the possibility of a second colonization of Africa are all happening right in our face, especially in our generation. Those who took over from them all betrayed them. They were part of what happened when imperial forces came back and started exterminating them one after the other through coup d'etats, direct assassinations involving the powerful, those who thought that and still think that Africa is a plantation for them, where they can come in and do as they please. Yes, they have done that for nearly 65 years of the so-called Greek gifts of independence of African states, mostly fake nations with the artificial boundaries that must come down for the unification of Africa. Now, how do we start? We are stuck. Some of the countries, especially Nigeria, where I come from, that we thought was going to spearhead the real unification of Africa, has fallen in the hands of rogues led by a drug dealer, certificate forger, an identity thief. So the hope of immediately seeing Nigeria as the champion of a united state of Africa is kind of slow right now. But we have to find another course. You know, when a river is blocked, it finds another course. I see a huge prospect in the election of Julius Malema of South Africa, the next president of South Africa. I see him as a potential, huge potential for the reactivation of that vision of a United States of Africa. Julius Malema, if the South Africans see truly what we are seeing and what our founding fathers, including Nelson Mandela, saw ahead of this time, must rally around Julius Malema and make him the president of South Africa, so we can put that dream, that vision of our founding fathers back on the pathway to total actualization, joining forces with the likes of Captain Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso, the man who is single handedly dismantling the colonial vestiges of oppression, repression, and exploitation starting in Burkina Faso. We can make this happen. Please, South Africans, I am begging you, South Africans. I've lived in your country 2 years between 1994 and 1996. I worked as a nurse at the Betal Hospital in Mpumalanga province, and I know what I am talking about South Africa. South Africans, you need to recalibrate your mindsets to open up. You have a glorious opportunity to put a man who truly loves Africa and loves your country in power, so we can expand the vision, actually activate the vision of our founding fathers to build that United States of Africa that is that will be similar and better than the European Union, small European Union, not the size of the Democratic Republic of Congo, that has become a buffet for them to come and take everything without giving anything back. They don't want us to unite. That is why they ignite wars, strifes. Look at small France. What little France did to Africa. We cannot continue like that. And I know there are some people who have doubts about the possibility of building a United States of Africa. I dispel those doubts as doubts of those who are weak and who must get strong. Yes, Africa was designed to fail by colonial and imperial masters. Now, you and I, who have seen the light, must set everything aside to make the dream of making Africa whole and one that will have one economy. All right, a borderless Africa with one economy, one army, one central bank, and one leadership. Yes, and if we have it, if we have this type of Africa, which our founding fathers dreamed about, Africa will be automatically we become a superpower if we put our resources together. We control over 45% of the Earth's resources. We have no reason to be the poorest people. 1.4 billion, 99% of whose population is poor. we should be ashamed of ourselves. If in this generation we cannot still see what is happening, how little France, little Italy, little Britain, all right, little Portugal will come and seize power and come and put their forces, put their puppets in power in our various countries. We should be ashamed as a generation if we cannot make it happen. But we need a pathway. The only feasible pathway now, like I tell you, I'm from Nigeria. The pathway from Nigeria is not possible immediately right now, but we are working. We are not sleeping. We are going to uproot the evil in Nigeria so that the right type of leadership will start coming out from there so we can blend and build the United States of Africa. But the prospect that we see, the most promising prospect right now is in Julius Malema. All Africans must take him as their project. You hear me? You South Africans right there. Now, you must wake up right now. Make Julius Malema your project. Let the emergence of a real South Africa, with Africans controlling their destiny in that country, with Africans taking back their lands, and then build an opportunity to remove themselves from poverty. Yes, I lived in South Africa. I know what South Africa is about. I know that is the reason why there's always this fight against fellow blacks from other countries. Yes, the South Africans there don't have access to opportunity, but we must use someone who understands the dynamics, who understands what is taking place now to make a South Africa that will be open. Yes, South Africa is locked down in the hands of a minority, racist minority. We cannot continue to have it like that. South Africans, South Africans, South Africans, South Africans. How many times did I call you? Many times. Wake up. Break down the color of whatever barrier that exists, be it tribal, be it racial, be it whatever. Stand up and be those Africans and put someone in power who can talk, who can speak to the issues that are central to the suffering and the retardation of your country, and by extension, the retardation of the whole of African continent. Yes, if we put Malema in power, other countries in Africa, yeah, the revolutionaries from other countries across Africa, we have somebody to look up to for leadership to expand the revolution that is going to hit Africa. Yes, I see it. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming, and I feel it. South Africans, you have the ace. South Africans, take the lead in this and elect a man that has Africa at the center of his heart, so we can liberate this continent. So we don't have to start fighting one another. So opportunities that exist in South Africa will exist in Botswana, will be in Zambia, will be in Kenya, will be in Ethiopia, will be in Nigeria, will be everywhere across Africa. So I can travel from Lagos to Johannesburg, do my business, and get away from there. And you can come to Lagos, you can come to Abuja, do your business as an African without needing any passport, without needing any visa. Do whatever positive that can advance the growth and development of Africa, and head back to wherever you live. If that's what you want to live, you want to live in Nigeria, and nobody is going to come and be bothering you. I know the greatest thing that will happen, like all the madness we have across the continent that are being created by the Arabs and the Europeans, will come to an end. Because if we have an African army, the rubbish that is going on in Nigeria will not be going on. Yes, Nigeria is an obstacle to the unity of Africa as it is constituted right now. So if we have a United States of Africa with its own army, there will be Boko Haram. Boko Haram will be extinguished within a few seconds. And any terrorist group that starts anywhere in Africa will be confronted head on by an African force. Yes, and this is what the Europeans don't want. This is what the Arabs don't want. It is only we Africans that can save Africa. Take this message, share it with every African that you know, especially South Africans right now. You must go to the polls with Julius Malema in mind as your president. God bless Africa.
Movement of the people.